Let's dive into a battle that's been raging for over 2,000 years. It's a war over the very soul of storytelling, fought between a legendary teacher and his most brilliant student, Plato and Aristotle. And what they were fighting about? Well, it affects every single movie you watch, every show you binge. Think about it. That film that makes you weep, or that series that gets your adrenaline pumping, is it just a bit of harmless fun, or is it secretly rewiring your brain? That's the heart of the epic philosophical clash between Plato and Aristotle, and honestly, it's a debate that's still happening every single time you hit play. All right, so first up, let's hear the case for the prosecution, led by the one and only Plato. And his argument is, well, it's pretty shocking. He believed that for a society to be truly great, art had to be put on a very, very short leash. Yeah, you heard that right. Censorship. In his blueprint for a perfect society called The Republic, Plato basically said that artistic freedom was a bug, not a feature. He saw poets and storytellers as potential sources of moral corruption. So why was he so deeply suspicious of a good story? Well, Plato's case against art came down to three main charges. First, he said art is a lie, a cheap copy of reality that just misleads us. Second, it unleashes emotional chaos, making us feel things instead of thinking rationally. And his third and final charge, that art is a social toxin, something that slowly poisons our values and unravels the very fabric of society. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds a little ancient, right? A bit dramatic. But what happens when we take Plato's checklist and hold it up against the media we're all consuming right now? Let's take that first charge, that art is a lie. You can almost picture Plato pointing at a movie like Animal. He'd argue that by glorifying violence, it's feeding you a dangerous fantasy. It's a lie that teaches us that brutality is a form of honor. And that's a lie he would say society just can't afford. Now, for charge number 2, emotional chaos. Plato would have a field day with a film like Kabir Singh. He'd say it's a perfect example of emotional manipulation. By making us feel the main character's intense passion and rage, the movie kind of hijacks our brains, bypassing our rational thought and tricking us into sympathizing with some seriously toxic behavior. And that brings us to Plato's final knockout punch, art as a social toxin. For him, a series like Mirzapur would be pure poison. Why? Because by making crime and corruption seem, well, normal, even cool, it chips away at a community's moral foundations. It's not entertainment, it's an education in vice. So, Plato's case seems pretty damning. But get this. His very own student, Aristotle, looked at the exact same stories, the exact same plays, and came to a completely, radically different conclusion. The heart of Aristotle's entire defense is one powerful idea, catharsis. He argued that art isn't there to stir up trouble. It's a safe place for us to deal with our most difficult emotions, like pity and fear. Think of it like an emotional gym. You go in, you experience these intense feelings in a totally controlled environment, and you come out feeling cleansed, stronger, and healthier. You see how this flips Plato's argument completely on its head? For Aristotle, art isn't the cause of our emotional problems. It's the therapy. It's a necessary release valve that lets us process all that messy stuff, so it doesn't build up and explode in real life. And to prove his point, Aristotle pointed to his star witness, the genre of Greek tragedy. He said these stories weren't corrupting people. They were providing a profound learning experience, and it all centered on the figure of the tragic hero. The secret ingredient in these tragedies is a concept called hamartia. It sounds fancy, but it just means a fatal flaw. This isn't about watching a bad person get what they deserve. It's about watching a good person, a great person even, who makes one terrible mistake, usually because of pride or a blind spot, and it leads to their complete ruin. Watching that whole thing unfold is what triggers our catharsis. And we see this everywhere, right? Look at Brutus and Julius Caesar. His fatal flaw is his own idealism, his naivety. Or King Lear, whose pride literally destroys his entire kingdom. In every case, it's that one flaw that causes a hero's downfall. And by feeling that mix of pity for them and fear that it could happen to us, we learn something incredibly deep about ourselves without having to live through the disaster. So let's just boil it all down. Here's the core disagreement. For Plato, emotion is chaos, so art that plays with our emotions is dangerous. It needs to be controlled. But for Aristotle, emotion is like a pressure cooker that needs a safe release, which makes art not just therapeutic, but absolutely necessary. Two of the greatest minds in history looking at the same thing and seeing polar opposites. But here's the thing. This isn't just some dusty old historical debate. This 2,400-year-old argument is alive and well, and it's raging right now in every single controversy about censorship, cancel culture, and artistic responsibility. I mean, just look at the controversy around the comedy Houseful 5. The movie got hit with a firestorm of criticism for being sexist, for relying on jokes that were seen as misogynistic. This is Plato's argument playing out in real time on our social media feeds. When you break down the criticisms, they sound exactly like modern versions of Plato's charges. Critics said it promotes harmful gender norms. That's Plato's social toxin. They said it normalizes derogatory humor. That's Plato's fear of corrupting our values. The basic claim is that the movie is chasing cheap laughs at the expense of virtue. It's Plato 2.0. But then you had the film's director pushing back, defending his work, and basically saying the critics were missing the point entirely. And right there, you have it. The exact same standoff we've been exploring. Plato's demand for social responsibility crashing head-on into the artist's defense of creative freedom. So, after hearing both sides of this ancient epic argument, the final verdict, well, that's really up to you. At the end of the day, what is art really for? Is its job to show us how to be good people, to model ideal behavior the way Plato wanted? Or is its job to take us into the dark places, to help us process our most complicated and difficult emotions, the way Aristotle believed? And what you decide actually matters. This isn't just some academic thought experiment. This tension is what determines which movies get funded, which TV shows get canceled, and where we, as a culture, decide to draw the line between artistic expression and social harm. So the next time you settle in to watch something, especially if it's dark or controversial or something that really pushes your buttons, ask yourself this: which philosopher is sitting there on the couch with you? Are you watching with the eyes of Plato, the censor, scanning for moral flaws and potential harm? Or are you watching with the eyes of Aristotle, the critic, waiting for that moment of catharsis, that deeper, messier truth about what it means to be human? The censor or the critic? The choice is yours.